guys, it's Emma. Welcome back to my channel and to another Sims 4 speed build. It has been a hot minute since I have done a Sims 4 speed build, and part of that is due to being really busy with work. I recently had another book release and I've been writing ever since, and also because I've been kind of burnt out on The Sims. I've spoken about this before, that I've had a bit of burnout with it, and if you have seen my last few videos you'll know that I am now doing a bit of a Stardew Valley Let's Play. And that's kind of good because although it takes a bit longer to do and edit the videos, it's a bit of a slower pace and it's a bit more sort of realistic than the Sims ones, which I find I tend to binge and then I get overwhelmed with all the content I have to edit. Anyway, part of that burnout has been cured by the recent release of the new expansion pack, the Horse Ranch expansion pack, of course. Something that I'm sure many of us are extremely happy that we finally have now, especially those of us who were the big Sims 3 kiddos who love to play with the horses and stuff. And I know that was perfect. Like, personally, that was one of my favorite things in the Sims 3, especially combined with the fairies, where I could like have my fairy ride a unicorn because I was a kid. Although, to be honest, you know what, I'm almost 30 and I would absolutely have a fairy on a unicorn in the Sims 4, so it's fine. Anyway, I have had a load of fun with the build items in this. I haven't actually played with the pack yet, so I haven't actually played with the horses or the nectar making or anything like that. I've only been building, and part of that is because I keep trying to build myself a house and then it ends up being this massive, great big ranch, and I haven't actually started to play with anything at all. So, because I keep getting swept up into this build and then I get overwhelmed by the size of this build I've created because I've started it on a 20 by 30 and then I've ended up on the 64 by 64 and I don't know how it's happened. So anyway, I told myself with this build that I wanted to do a build, I was going to finish a build, and it was going to be on a 20 by 30 and it was only going to have one bedroom. So I really did have to keep the size of the property in mind because otherwise this would have ended up being like a 3 or 4 bedroom. But restricting it to one story really helped me just actually sit down and finish a build rather than getting all excited about it. So yeah, anyway, this is a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom house, and it has this little room at the front, and I do realise that I should have switched it with the bathroom and put the bathroom at the front so it was slightly bigger, but you know, you win some, you lose some. I clearly wasn't thinking. And this little room is basically just like a little access room down to the basement where the nectar making is. I originally wasn't going to have any horses in this build. I didn't want to put a stable in. I just wanted it to be a nectar making house, but then actually this house was smaller than I anticipated and I had a bunch of garden space left. I had a bunch of room left on the lot and I was like, stuff it, let's squeeze in a horse. So that's what I did. Nothing about this build kind of went how I intended it to. I also didn't intend to use the red siding. I kind of put it on as a bit of a joke because to me that's a very like classic like American Barney with like all the red. And actually it ended up looking really beautiful on this house, so I just left it. I'm just kind of trying to figure out the floor plan here on the inside. I like this little nook for the kitchen, especially with the door out to the little back like patio there. That door's actually from Laundry Day, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised how well it fit, and this is definitely a theme in this build. I had this with the kitchen as well. Like I said, I have started a few houses, which means I've played with all kind of different swatches and whatnot, and I'm really, really pleasantly surprised of how well this kitchen fits with some of the stuff from the other packs, specifically the country living, cottage living, and the country kitchen kit. There we go. I knew I'd get there in the end. If I don't know if you can tell, but the small cabinet we've got there with the plates on the right side of the windows, that's actually, I believe, from the country kitchen kit. And the wood swatches are pretty much identical, and this is the case for a couple of the other items as well. So if you are building a kitchen and you have those 3 packs, you should really definitely try and sort of put them together. And I especially love it for the top counters, because they're normally all one colour and it just adds a little bit of variation for a couple of those cabinets when you want something a bit different instead of like repeating the same open shelf stuff. Anyway, I am outside. I am obsessed with these new shutters. I may just use them on absolutely everything from now on. I love how we can personalise it, and how well they go with some other windows as well. This is the point I decided that I was going to put the horse in. Because I haven't played with the game, I don't actually know how much room the horses need, like in their stable area, but I'm pretty sure this is sort of enough. because I think they just kind of sleep on the beds, don't they? I think the rest of it is just sort of decorative. I only know from what I've watched other people play. So I do actually bring this in by one square in a minute. It's just a little bit longer, and the reason is to just give me a little bit more room for like the horse's outdoor sort of area. I really love the versatility of this though, like where they've given us the bed and not this massive great barn like what we got with cottage living. I feel like it's so much like more freeing, especially as a builder. I can put them in this massive indoor barn, or I can just have like this outdoor, like this little outdoor sort of roofed covered area for the horses. And I really love that we've got that kind of versatility with their living space, because that's the one thing we didn't get obviously in cottage living. We just got these great big barns in one style rather than a bed. And I do wonder if they maybe learnt from that. Instead of giving us like an actual stable, they've given us a bed to place down. I will say though, that I was disappointed that we didn't get like an anchoring point for the sheep and goats. I've had so much fun like laughing and watching as everybody is losing their goats on like Let's Plays on YouTube and stuff, because I mean, one, that's realistic because goats and sheep are escape artists. Trust me, I live in the country, there are forever sheep running up my driveway, and I'm having to jump into like the village WhatsApp like, hey, whose sheep? Like, does this sheep belong to you? Does anybody know who the sheep belongs to? That is an all too common occurrence in my very real life. So yes, the fact that you cannot find sheep and goats in this game just adds a bit of realism, doesn't it, really? But yeah, it would have been nice to have an anchor point for them. I feel like, although I haven't actually built, or I should say I haven't finished a property with space for them, I feel like I'm definitely going to try and make sure that when I do, I have a fenced area for them. Maybe for all of the animals to just kind of get together in. But I definitely think that that's something that they should have maybe considered a little bit, was giving us that. Other than that, I don't really have any criticisms with this pack, which feels a bit strange, yeah. I kind of was about to say that, and then I'm like, is it strange? No, but yeah, it is, because I've normally got something that I really dislike. And so apart from like not having that anchor point for the sheep and the goats, my only other criticism is the lack of bookcases. And this is not something I ever thought I would be criticising in The Sims 4, because they love to give us a good bookcase. And I'm sure the reason for it is because we just got the Book Nook kit, which is, of course, all about bookcases and reading. But the reason I'm disappointed that we didn't get one in this pack is because they have clearly put so much time into the texturing of the wooden swatches, and it just has like that more realistic wood sort of look on all of the items. And I don't think we actually have a bookcase that has that kind of wooden detailing, so there's nothing that really matches it, although we have it in style. Like a lot of the like the one from Cats and Dogs, that pack, I think that one goes very well. But one, the wood tones obviously don't match because it's The Sims 4, none of the wood tones ever match, but it doesn't have, none of the others have that detailing of the wood, and so that makes it a bit hard to kind of put it all together. So that was a little bit disappointing for me. I just kept looking at it thinking like, oh, am I missing it? Like, have I missed this bookcase? Where is it? And no, I'm not missing it. It just doesn't exist. So I was kind of bummed about that. Just because we got like such lovely desks and stuff as well, and I really think it would have just added a little something to be able to have like that full rustic set as well. But you know, it is what it is, and we can't have everything. And overall, I'm really glad that they put as much time and effort into like the horses as what they did. I think we got some really cool stuff for them, and the debug stuff is incredible as well as like the flooring and the wallpapers and the windows. I think they just did a really good job with this pack overall, and you can see that they've put a lot of time and care into it, and it's not something that they've kind of rushed out just because the community really wanted it. It feels like they knew how badly this was wanted by the Sims community, and so they've really put their time and effort into it. And you know, obviously as a lifelong player of The Sims, I really appreciate that, because I think it's been far better to wait this long rather than have it rushed out just because it was really wanted. Most of the landscaping I've done here on the house is actually debug. Most of it is from the Horse Ranch pack, and that's because I wanted it to feel very natural to the world around it. Although I did use, I obviously used base game, and I think I used a couple of bits from Cottage Living, and I believe I used the yellow flowers from Growing Together as well, just sort of peppered here and there for just like a pop of colour. At this point, I was trying to figure out how I wanted this all to be laid out. Just a note, these little stones from the Horse Ranch debug, love them. I love them, and I think when I eventually use them to sort of surround a flower bed, it's going to look so good. I just haven't done it yet. Not in anything I've finished anyway. That is the recurring theme, is that I have not finished very much. I've just got the debug little truck, I guess. It's like a little pickup, isn't it? I've got that sort of there at the moment. Oh, there we go. I did use them. Look, see, I was so excited about them, I completely forgot. I used the little pickup truck because I just kind of needed something in that space, and I didn't like to leave it empty. This is quite a full lot, so I didn't feel like this empty patch at the front was really going to fit. This grass from Cottage Living, that is the Cottage Living debug coming in these grass things. They are top tier, and they are forever the best bit of any debug we've ever gotten. I'm just adding some stuff here to the back, and I'm just trying to get things that I think are realistic, like a couple of buckets. That's very realistic. I've got buckets galore. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I have a small holding. I have chickens and ducks, and although we do actually have a license for other livestock, we haven't actually got around to getting them yet, although goats are very much on the list, and they will be mini goats. And yes, I will put them in pajamas, and that's the end of that discussion. But we just haven't got there yet. We haven't had the time, or I guess the bandwidth, to add any more animals into the crazy that is ours. You know, we've got loads of chickens and ducks, and our ducks have been taking themselves off to hatch. So we've got all the ducklings running around at the moment. We have still got one duck sitting on eggs because she decided to wedge herself into a corner of the barn. So, yeah, it's a bit chaotic, to say the least. Anyway, this is the little gardening patch here, because obviously I have the nectar basement here as well, and this is why I've used the grapevines on the fencing there. I just felt like that was a pretty realistic place to put it. I'm a gardener myself. I have a vegetable garden. And I know that if I needed something, I use what I've already got there. So, for example, I have trellises that are on my barn, and I use that. And I've got a couple of grapevines. They're not doing very well this year. In fact, my garden's a mess this year, so I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going through now. I have filtered, or I'm supposed to be filtering, to Horse Ranch. And that's because I wanted to use as much of the new furniture as possible. Because I realised at this point that this was the house I was going to complete. This house was going to be finished and uploaded and turned into a speed build for you guys. So I was using just the Horse Ranch stuff because I wanted to use as much of it as I possibly could in this build. So I do sort of flip back and forth as I'm just going through each different section, trying to put everything down, and just trying to figure out colour schemes. And I really love this particular light wood and green colourways, and I really love this bedroom with the little pink. I kind of wanted to have a few different wood tones in here as well. That felt quite realistic to me, that I would have different wood tones. And this was the point when I realised that there was no bookshelf, and I was extremely disappointed in that. And I was trying to figure is there anything else I can use as a bookshelf? And no. I do actually end up moving this bookshelf into the ladder room down to the basement, just in here. It kind of ends up being a little reading room. I did realise actually when I was watching the speed build through for anything that I needed to cut out before I sat to do this voiceover, is that I should have switched the bathroom and the little ladder room down to the basement. I should have switched them to make the bathroom slightly bigger. But do you know what? In all honesty, it's not sort of the end of the world. I couldn't get the bath and shower combo in the bathroom, but you can't always get them in there. And if I'd thought to do that, then I would have been able to have the bath shower combo as well as just a bit of a bigger bathroom. But I kind of like that it's slightly bigger, or the bathroom is slightly smaller. I feel like that's quite realistic, and you just got this space, because I guess you kind of need to haul the wine up and down, so a bit of a bigger room. And you could put some wine storage in there if that's what you wanted to do. I really love the kitchen stuff that we got with this pack as well. Not just the cabinets, but the clutter. I think they really put a lot of time and effort into actually giving us meaningful sort of clutter. And especially the pans for the wall. I love the pans that go on the wall. Some of the swatches are a bit funky, but I kind of like that. And it was about here that I realised I needed a little bit more space in the hallway, a little bit more wall space there for the shoe rack and all of those bits and bobs. So I just closed off the kitchen ever so slightly, and I actually really prefer it like that. I love that there's it feels like there's that coziness, to the kitchen there just being closed off, like it's not sort of supposed to be there. I don't know how open plan these ranch style houses would actually be. Obviously not a form of architecture I am familiar with. I am definitely a cottages kind of girl. So I kind of just tried to find a middle ground of that, and I liked having it sort of separated off like that. Yeah, like I said, it just added a bit of coziness and warmth to me, I think. So I'm just in the bathroom now. It is a very basic bathroom. You have a shower, you have a toilet, you have a sink. I mean, that's kind of all you really need, especially for Sims. The bathtub can get irritating as well. So I feel like in this household, which could be potentially quite busy with all the nectar and the horses, just needing to get hygiene up quickly, a shower is definitely sort of the one to do. I used the new bathroom cabinet and I did size it down once, just because it was huge and I wanted it to be slightly smaller, quite honestly. And I just had a bit of a faff with the windows because I obviously made my own windows kind of with the small square ones, just on this corner, because again, I realised that I wasn't going to have a window in the bathroom. But if I just put the bathroom at the front of the house and made this little room the one with the ladder, it wouldn't have needed to have a window. So clearly my brain was not working, and this is very much a case of shoulda, woulda, coulda. Instead, we ended up with this sort of cosy little bathroom, which I kind of like. And I think it actually started because my intention was to sort of make this small room at the front a bit of a bedroom, maybe for like a toddler or an infant. And then I realised I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to add another bedroom onto the house. So here we are. In the end, I'm really, really pleased actually with how this house ended up. Like I said, you've got this really cozy living space. I think is not too big, but is just enough. You have the basement for all the nectar. You've got the relatively sizable garden patch, and using the patches from cottage living means that you can, of course, use the oversized crops if that's what you want to do. So you've kind of like got, there's a lot of choices there with the little garden pots as well. You've got room for a horse, but if you don't want the horse, you can easily just delete it and make a bigger garden space. I just wanted to fill out a bit of space. And although I do say I wish I switched these rooms, I do like having that slightly cozier little like reading room, if you will, kind of maybe a place to hide and just get away from the insanity of the rest of your lot, pretty much. I think we are about to jump down to the basement in a minute, which is the very end. I really just got as much stuff in as I could, and then I lamented the fact I did not have a curtain pole for those curtains because I think they match with this pack really well. So I just went for some bog standard basic ones. I think they're from Eco Living. Do you know what? There's so many lifestyles and livings in this game now. I cannot keep them straight. So they're the Eco pack. There we go. Job done. I had a bit of fun playing with the wallpapers as well. Again, I was happy with the versatility from different packs, how well they all sort of go together. I think that's a base game. Yeah, that's a base game one I'm using. I really like that. And it wasn't until after this that I realised that they've actually updated a bunch of the base game wallpapers and that there's a bunch of swatches on items that I haven't seen and I haven't used yet. I think it was about here with the books I realised. But, you know, it is what it is. It is good fun. It's fun to sort of stumble upon those things because I haven't really been keeping up with the Sims news massively. So it's fun to sort of stumble on top of those things through the gameplay. And yeah, I love the rugs as well. I think they did such a good job with so many of these items. And I've just realised I use the exact same swatch in the bedroom and the living room. Never mind. I love the swatch, and hey, do you know what? Maybe your sim just really, really, really likes that swatch. That's fine. They really like that rug. They had to have two. Perfectly reasonable. Out here on the porch, there's just a couple of little skill building items. You've got the easel, and I think it's the cross stitching kit from Cottage Living. That felt like a bit of an organic sort of natural thing, and like the rusticy sort of beat up box a little bit sort of fit really well. And the seasoned mailbox, I did use the new light that came with the Horse Ranch pack as well. I've sort of popped that all around. And I'm just now realising that it really did not take me long to do the basement because we are sort of coming up to the last minute and a half or so of the video and we haven't even got down there and laid everything out yet. A lot of the decor in the back garden is just debug, so if you needed more space, you can just delete it. And with the fire pit, I also go in a second and I add the hay bale chairs that we got with the Cottage Living pack. I didn't know what chairs to put there, and I didn't want anything too fancy, and by the time I was there, I realised that It's kind of like, oh, there's horses, they've got hay bales around, hey, grab a hay bale and sit down. And I don't know, yeah, I just kind of liked it, so I left it like that. I'm happy with the activities that are outside. I feel like I've made really good use of the lot as well. It is a very full lot, but it is play tested and fully functional. There may have been a couple of things that I had to sort of scooch over here and there, but nothing sort of that drastically changed. We are now into the basement, which means we are coming up to the very end of the video. I'm sure you have seen everybody build these basements. There's really nothing, I don't think, overly unique about this. You've got the bar, you've got the barrels, you've got the nectar aging units, you've got the nectar makers themselves. It's just a really good space for everything to come together, and we will be jumping into screenshots in about maybe sort of 20-30 seconds. So this build is available on the gallery for download into your game. My gallery ID is EmmaHart121. Like I said, it is play tested. A couple of things may have had to scooch about here and there. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Sims 4 and cozy gaming content. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.